Thanks, Thomas, and actually a huge thank you. I've been moving around the rooms all morning. It's just so inspiring and exciting and really great to see everyone. And I could do it 3 days as well. So thank you for setting this up and for being such an amazing part of the team all year. And I know it's been quite a morning, and we've been uploaded with a lot of ideas. So I'm inviting everyone to just take a deep breath uh, and think about it. And if you're in front of a computer and it's comfortable for you, just write down for a second in the chat just one concept or thought that stuck with you from the morning sessions. If you've been, just a sentence or a couple of words, just so we get a sense of the kind of ideas that are sticking with everyone before we move on, and you guys have to listen again. And yeah. I see trust. I see Grundformen der Angst, which I'm guessing that's anxiety. So we have, and I really I did. Everyone who spoke, I think, left a mark. I've jumped around from the groups, and it's really what we hope to continue with in GITA. And what we're going to do over the next half hour or so, I want to share with you, first of all, a little bit of what we went through over the past year, and a little bit of where we are looking forward and what we want to do in the future, knowing that your participation and your focus is actually key. And more events like this, where we get professionals or people who are practitioners in this space sharing with other practitioners without needing to do the necessary kind of educational work that a lot of times we have to do when we are in kind of a larger setting, in a public setting. So we have a presentation. We'll leave some time, some time for questions in the end, absolutely. And let's get going. Ready? Okay. So quick reminder what GITA is, 5 minutes for anyone who's new or who forgot. We'll look a little bit at what we did over the past year really quickly, because it's been quite a roller coaster. And then introduce you to what we call phase 2, which is kind of our exciting new project that we want to launch. And we'd love to have your input and thoughts and critique into this conversation. So feel free. So just kind of a reminder, our vision is a world where technology, innovation, and science are really, really integrating the idea of long impact and really working with a sense of responsibility and understanding that anyone creating new tools in science, creating new data, is affecting the reality of our future. So once you understand that responsibility, that we're affecting the reality, how about we get together and do that systematically, professionally, and contribute to a good future. So that's kind of our larger vision. Of course, that's not everything. We can't do everything. But we really, we are looking a lot at the financing side, or what we call the ecosystem. So there are the founders and entrepreneurs, some of them in this room, inventing these amazing ideas and initiatives. And then the resources to take that forward, if it's professional resources, if it's knowledge, and if it's capital, are just not there. And so we'd like to scale that amount of capital. And we would like to do that using the collective knowledge that anyone in this space of impact and tech already has. So we're really looking at 3 key objectives. We wanted to connect people from across the impact tech space around the world, mostly because both Cecile and I, which we co-founded GITA about 1.5 years ago, we felt that there are amazing little points and bursts of exciting and inspiring people doing tech and proper impact or SDG or change and meaningful, purposeful change, that they don't know each other. Everyone's going at it alone, and really not being able to support each other's knowledge and each other's activities, etc. So first of all, we want to connect these key practitioners. Then we wanted to identify and address the key gaps or barriers to entry into this ecosystem. So there are a lot of people who want to be in this space. We call them migrants, who want to be in the impact tech space, but they're not. They could be entrepreneurs, and they could be funders, and they could be researchers or public sector actors that are really fascinated by how technology and science can actually advance the future we want, but they're not quite sure what their role is. So we wanted to close those barriers to entry and close the gaps and create a larger ecosystem. And then, of course, grow the amount of impact like funding or other resources to support these kind of initiatives, knowing without the capital and the support, it's not going to happen. That's what we wanted to do. And as I said, this is a key challenge. We said that the impact tech industry was nascent and fragmented, meaning it was very small and nobody was talking to each other. So the way we kind of framed our solution is that we want to curate and I like that word. It's the idea of like someone who can help understand what is going on and what are the most efficient solutions and answers to the key questions. Knowing that there's a lot of noise out there, a lot of new entrants, a lot of impact wash, and how do we actually collect the most valuable insights and then collect it, learn it, and basically share it with the rest of the community. So we'll all have a shared language and a shared approach. And I like to call it bottom-up standards. Usually standards are taken top-down by governments, by big industry that collect into associations. And we want to go bottom-up through the practitioners, people, the real-world people doing the work. How do we actually scale and create standards that we can all agree with and that can also be adjusted and changed and very relevant? So our key focus is to connect, learn, and share. And if that is how we look at things, it leaves us a lot of activities to do. And that's where we started. And we started this amazing initiative of bringing in all the professionals and starting to learn what can be done and what should be done. And we started doing a lot of things, right? We did events and kind of launched different global communities, including GITA Germany, that Thomas has been the fearless leader of that community throughout the past year. We kind of are collecting a knowledge platform with resources and insights and information on all this stuff. We are curating, so we're collecting the key insights and creating kind of specific products, let's say a manual, a how-to, a playbook on that the rest of the practitioners can use. Let's say a syllabus for a course on impact tech for universities, or a framework for impact VCs to use when they're entering the space. So the idea is really doing all of these actions. And as you can imagine, as a nonprofit born during COVID times and remotely spread around the world, it is a lot of things to do. And so just so you get a sense, we actually did a lot of things. So we founded 3 different chapters, one in Germany, one in Israel, one in Finland. We had 8 large global events and many small meetups and smaller events. We have thousands of people in social media, and we kind of, I think, started this new community in different stages and different levels. We did actually do the training ourselves a lot of times. So we actually conducted a few academic courses, practitioner workshops on the strategies, on the how of impact tech. What does it look like to be a startup with an impact tech? framework and a VC and all these different kind of very professional technical issues where people want to know how it's done. And then we also kind of started working on actual tools and research, including an ecosystem database that we launched in Israel. Now it's going to be expanded. An open source kind of academy where our trainings and syllabus are all available to anyone who wants it, and a shared project of creating an impact VC together. I won't go over all of this because it's quite a lot, but it was a lot. So we've been super, super active, and we have been on all the three activities. So the community, the bringing together people, the training, and bringing in knowledge, and the creation of knowledge products. It's been exciting. It's been a little bit crazy. I think Thomas mentioned in the beginning, I haven't had vacation or a day off since we started, and like anyone leading a new venture, I guess. And we learned a few things along the way, and I wanted to share that with you. So we did realize we can't do it all, so we were going through, and I call a few questions: the why, the who, the how, the what, and also creating and doing the community management. It ended up being amazing, but a lot for one organization to do. And also unnecessary for one organization to do, and there's so many actors out there. The one thing that came up as a main industry challenge is having a database, or having a depository where both the people and the actors that work in the space, that are in the impact tech mindset, are registered, so people-based database, but also organizations and activities, like who are the funders, who are the ventures doing climate tech, who are the key, foundations that care about that. So we started doing this database in Israel, which is a smaller market, and we kind of know a lot of people, and it was very effective. And as we wanted to scale it and to open it to the entire world, we realized a few things. One of them is, if anyone of you manage a database, it's hard to maintain and manage database. Definitely keep it updated. Theoretically, if we wanted to create a database of everyone in the world dealing with impact tech, that would probably be enough to fill the time of an organization that it's all they do, and many people work in it just to keep it updated. And so we have this urgency, and we wanted things to scale. And so as we started to want to replicate what we did, we realized, how can we be smarter about this and actually make an effective database? And that leads us into our third insight, which is, I call it the people are always key. And kind of really, it's mentioned on the blue box here. Since conversations don't scale, and there is an incredible amount of knowledge, as we can see in the community, it really, in a way, doesn't make sense for a few people in our organization to be inputting slowly all the information and all the actors, and doing it ourselves. And when so much is collected from the people, this is their work, this is their life's work many times. And so one of our key insights is that our real value, and the real value we can create is the people who are part of this community. And that anything that we try to do with this community has been so much better, and so much stronger, and so much more useful and effective, that we started looking at that aspect. And instead of wanting to do everything, we're starting to look at what we call the phase 2, is the focus on building a strong professional community that can share their insights. And that our job is to bring everyone into this space, and then learn the insights, and then distribute to new entrants the key knowledge. And I know it could be kind of a little confusing on how to do that. We have a little bit of a mock-up to explain it, and Thomas is going, and Thomas and Malsi are going to be a big part of implementing this. But this is kind of the basis of our 2.0, this key insight, that what we really, people need, is to find the other. And that's also the name of this event. They need to find the other people who share their passion, their focus, their professional focus, to either work together, to collaborate properly, or to scale each other's activities. And so that's basically the idea. It's a lot of text, and we are in the beginning of launching this phase, and this is one of the reasons we're telling you guys about it now, to hear what you think. But we want to engage the existing community, to curate the conversations, but instead of just having it all kind of written down as many tech conversations like Stack Overflow or different kind of platforms, are curated and answers are brought together by the community in that way. We know that in this space, in the impact and SDG and purpose, meaningful change space, a lot of the conversations are like this, are people speaking, are chats and conversations and Zoom videos. And so we're actually going to collect this information. So basically, those conversations, the Zoom events, every interaction our community has, we'll transcribe and pull out the insights, and that will be part of the knowledge products we create. So the resulting interface, we call it the weaving of this community. We could call it the Wikipedia or the LinkedIn, or basically the collection of the key actors in this space and what they know, what they actually know. Again, this is a mock-up. Thomas, I know this is kind of a very general approach, but if you want to step in here and go over a little bit of how you think of the platform.
Yeah, with pleasure. So as you pointed out from several perspectives, maintaining a database just with by maintaining it is cumbersome, and it's expensive, and it is hard, and you will be outdated very, very quickly. So what we concluded was that we're creating this data as we have these conversations, and the better the questions, the better the data, because then the conversations can be very focused. So what we then decided is that for the first step, we're going to bootstrap this, because we don't have enough resources to build a huge database from scratch, but luckily the world has created everything we need. So we're asking specific questions to 3 industries. We're beginning with Tidal and being a VC, and asking the question, or coming from them actually, asking the question of how do we create a impact measurement framework or a meta impact measurement framework that can be used by other VCs. And as we're having these conversations, we're recording them and using a service to transcribe them, and then add them to our Roam graph, which is our MVP for our database. And we're inviting the people that are actually making up GITA, the professionals on the GITA platform into that. And so we need to build on top of that database that is being generated, an interface for everybody to be able to connect. So Leehe earlier mentioned something like LinkedIn, and that's how you can imagine it in a way. You can you can find others by means of their conversations they've had, by searching for keywords from those conversations, and then connect with these other people. And then go on to create meaningful content for different people. So for example, as we're starting with the conversations for the VCs, we're next going to have conversations with startups around the same or similar questions. Impact startups, what are they facing? And what do they need to solve? And then corporates, etc. And so out of those, we can then create very specific products that other actors in the impact environment can use. And this is self-refreshing. This is where by means of having these conversations, we're constantly renewing this. And I don't mean to scare you, but I'm going to show you the current what that might look like, to give you some more graphical idea of what that might look like in as our current Rome graph. So this is pretty fresh, so there's not too many nodes in here, but these nodes already represent people and topics inside of conversations that we've had. So we've had René, who is here, has had beautiful fireside chats, for example, with amazing people like Friedel, or with Julia, who's going to have a session later here on this track. Yeah, and René is also here. Thank you, René, for doing that. So let's find something. Let's see whether somebody ever mentioned Africa in our conversations. Oh yes, somebody did. So this is live. This is not. I've never tried this. So let's and now I'm going to create a new page for Africa. We could start editing that page and adding a more structured content, but we can also start linking content to this page. So from a brief so I want to link this one, and now suddenly in this overview we can already start exploring the link from Africa, which is there somewhere, maybe, I don't know, into other parts of GITA. And this is how it then naturally starts growing, and this is how we identify information in our database. And of course, this is just a very nerdy backend using Rome, and this is going to receive at one point a front end that can be envisioned like something like TED.com, but with the added option of connecting with other people like you would do on LinkedIn, to be able to access people who really can add value to your project. That's roughly B. Is that what you wanted, roughly? Yes.
Yeah, I think it's important to get a sense really of what we'd like to do. And again, this is the back end, but ideally I can imagine a network where every one of us has our kind of page where we can share resources actively, but also the issues that we talked about and that we know about in the conversations will be highlighted. The information we already spoke about is there, and then people can access that and can ask us about that and can engage on our key expertise and our knowledge and the stuff we want to. And the graph will actually allow us to connect people with the themes and topics, and any kind of expertise they have very clearly. So if we talk about climate, it'll very clearly show up people who have the key expertise on climate and allow us to know who we want to talk to, which I think is the key hard part in finding the others. Who are the people I should talk to? And that's what we hope to kind of launch with you guys over the next, well, 6 months, I think. Hold on. And we have, I'll go back to the presentation. So in the 3 projects we're launching, one of them is already deep inside, are based on three questions. How to create and manage a climate tech VC. It's a very professional kind of approach. It's not should I invest in climate technology. That's I already want to. How do I do that? What do I measure? What do I look at? How do I identify key issues that are really, really important? And it's not me or Thomas or Malcio who's going to tell us. We're going to ask anyone in our community and invite people into the conversation to help us answer that question and aggregate kind of an answer that takes into account everyone's point of view. So we will offer a playbook or a manual on how to do it, but in that same place where that manual is, the videos and the contribution of all the different actors around the world. Could be Breakthrough Energy, it could be Renee, right? Anyone who has an interesting input on these key questions, the videos of that conversation will be accessible with the permission of all the practitioners, of course. And so us as a community will have a tool that we can, or a source of information we can all refer people to. If someone asks me, what does it mean to invest in something with purpose? What does it mean to set up a startup with purpose? At least for the introductory steps and to understand what it means and who are the key actors and who says what, why, and get a sense of this new industry. We all have a shared resource we can refer them to. That is our goal. So basically support both all of us and support new entrants. And these are the 3 key questions. So that Thomas already mentioned: how to create and manage a climate tech VC, an impact framework and strategy for a startup. How does that look like? What they should be looking at? What they should be doing? And the most difficult one, I think, is around the corporation. Can we envision, or do we know how it looks professionally and tools and technical approaches of a big company deciding to transform to be part of the solution? What do they do? How do they operate? How do they recruit people? How do they make new products into the world? So these kind of 3 questions are 3 questions we're going to throw out to our global community. And we hope that by slowly kind of bringing in the key actors, etc., we'll have enough people in this active and super engaged in professional activity that in the next step, all of you can also ask questions to this professional community and launch a project on your own. And there'll be enough people that you can launch it to, invite them on to curate some conversations and have kind of the best practices very quickly and very intelligently. So that would be, I guess, the 2.0 phase, 3.0 phase. But right now we're testing it while we are actually managing the process. Know though that this is an idea that in the end, GITA will just be at the end of the situation, will help to package and share and distribute and market the collective answers. But we won't necessarily manage all the process in the way. So that's kind of this new project that we're launching. I'm very excited about it. I really invite you to join us in this experience. But also before we end, I would love to hear your thoughts, your questions, your concerns, or any kind of key issues you may have on this new idea.
So, Leehe, can I say a few words?
Yes, of course. Sorry, Malcio.
All right, can you hear me well? I am on the outside.
Yes.
Or so just my 2 cents on this. I mean, Lee set up GITA with Cecile a year and 8 months ago. I joined GITA about a year and 4 months ago. And Lee has been the main person managing GITA 1.0, spending much of her life on this. Actually, she didn't have too much of a life outside GITA since she set this up. And I think between the 3 of us, we found out that we need to pivot this venture the same way as many startups do, and focus and take into consideration what we want to achieve with the resources that we have and we foresee. And I'm very excited with GITA 2.0, but I want to lay on the table which Lee was really pivoting, crystallizing the idea, and Thomas was really key to build up this mock-up and the infrastructure. Amazing job with very little resources. And as you can see, this new version addresses at least 2 of the 3 objectives, original objectives of GITA, which is people or community, or network, people, community, and the second one is knowledge or barriers of entry, etc. What remains for us to define is how we address this 3rd objective, is how to measure the activities. It's not totally clear to us. We have some ideas. I definitely would like to take a key role in defining some model how we are going to measure the impact that GITA creates on the different vectors, VC, startups, corporates, whatever. But I'm very thrilled with this new dress up of GITA.
Thanks, Marcio. Yeah, and this is a little expansion of our team and our focus and expertise. So Thomas and Marcio will be much more active in this process, knowing that we really want to bring powerful professional insights on the key activities that we do. So very excited to have you guys so engaged. Does anyone else have kind of thoughts, questions, concerns, or critique? Feel free to mention it, or now or later.
Yeah, hello, Renee here from Berlin. Hi. I think that's a good overview. And basically, as Marcio said, it follows the initial intention of GITA. And I was always a fan of having a different network, not only because it's tech and impact focused, but basically that it is a kind of product generation community and tool generation community that we set up here. And that worked quite well in some respects, and did not work quite well because of, I think we had that discussion later on, the activation rate, at least when we had the kickoff last year in Germany, and thereon was, I think, until end of the year 2020, was good to great, and then it dropped dramatically as the first projects finished, and then, yeah, it did not go on. So hopefully this will be a kind of a kickoff again. I think we need to, especially when we focus on the German chapter, I think we need a kind of separate kickoff procedure, because I think the unconference is now a good part to introduce this kind of version 2.0 of GITA, or the next level. But basically, I think we need a kickoff too. To the questions in general, I like the idea of the database. I like the idea of the, let's say, interviews in the professional sector to gather data on that. Just two reminders. I think there is 2 points where we can work together. One is there is a couple of tools already out there using open data approaches for gathering this kind of data, what we need, especially when it comes to the ecosystem mapping. I don't want to mention my tool. And but basically, this is the first thing. So what are the inputs? And when it comes to the interview partners towards certain questions, I think it would be good to have a kind of input list that could be Google Docs based or whatever, so that we share this with the community, and probably not only share this with the community, but also share this on LinkedIn and so that people are able to enter names, ideas, topics, and so to have, let's say, to open the funnel a little up, and then we can filter it down. I think there will be also a whole lot of crap in this kind of funnel, and then we need to sort it out. But basically, I think that's always the case when you offer the chance to hundreds of people to put in data, and then it gets spammed. So basically, but we need to sort it out, and then we can focus on the right interview partners to the right questions. That's the only input that I have.
That's a great point, and I absolutely agree. I'd love to crowdsource who to talk to, and our job really is to help create the mechanisms of sorting the crap out, as you said, and who is really can really contribute to the conversation, or someone who's just today heard about the climate crisis and has lots of thoughts, which is great, but we're trying to pull in the professional experience people. So thanks, Renee. I'm looking forward to have you on board in this whole process, and absolutely learning and utilizing the tools that are out there is what we aim to do.
Yeah, very quickly reacting. I was very impressed. Thank you very much. It's so deeply needed what you're working on. And I really believe that the sort of getting a dynamic into the field of creating some kind of a spiral through the resonance to this topic, to bring people that have a joint vision and making this happening in a way, and then bringing those entrepreneurs that have solutions together with those that have all the different things that they might need, which is not only money, it's much bigger than that. Mm-hmm. And then to become what these entrepreneurs actually then are meant to be, right? And that in an ecosystem from the more ego to the eco, what is it that we are serving here actually as a puzzle together. I really love how you've been setting that up, and many questions are with me, and I'm happy to follow up then later. But also this exponential organizations approach, which I think that's very relevant to really get this dynamic going. And I'm not yet, it's probably from database to exponential organizations, something in between, right? So from grasping out always what is there, but not getting stuck in, always being à jour, but letting go of that as well. And then going into that dynamic of always looking at, in this point in time, what do these entrepreneurs in Germany and Berlin, in that case, really need, and who are the ones in the world that would be the best to connect them with? If I understood correctly, what the aim is.
Yeah,
that's beautiful. I just one question maybe. How it's really about this vision. Where do you see? How does success look like? How do you see really GITA in 5 years? What has been achieved? What is different with this chapter in Germany and in Europe and also internationally? Would love to hear a little bit, you and also Thomas, to really see what is emerging here. Exciting.
Thomas, do you want to take a stab at it? Just before, so my vision won't crowd the whole.
Yeah, so we that was also one of our approaches, experiments in the last 1.5 years to establish geographical chapters, and I think that's going to continue, and we're gonna widen that because for several reasons. One being that every country, or many countries, have different regulatory environments that need to be taken into account, but also because just the people in that environment, by means of culture, language, shared problem sets, can and should work together directly. But at the same time, we saw that the problems that wanted to be addressed in the German community were the same as they were everywhere else. So currently we see this more as a matrix where on some topics you get together on a local basis, and we intend to open more local chapters. And on some other topics you connect on a global horizontal basis. So that's where we would like this to go.
So I can add a few words.
Yeah.
So before you go, Lee, you have the ultimate word. So I think one thing that I like, the long-term vision of GITA, as Thomas mentioned, which I like very much, is actually to disappear. So the long-term vision of GITA is once this organization is obsolete because it achieved its purpose and it has no reason for being. That's not going to take 5 years, we guess. So there are actually goals. The way I see it is there are some practical goals, setting up new chapters, setting up new models and new activities. But at the end of the day, we are, to be, at least from my side, I don't think we are completely clear what we want to, how to define the goals. But basically they will be defined on the 3 vectors, right? Is how we are going to measure what we are achieving as building the network in the community. So we have to see how we are measuring it and what are the goals. The second vector is how we are measuring the knowledge that we are distributing and what's the value of this knowledge. And the third vector, which for me it's probably the most tricky, and is how we're going to measure the activities. Is this an amount of money invested, the amount of startups or corporates or activities or SDGs, whatever. So eventually, once we come up with the models to measure each one of those 3, we're going to set goals for each one of them.
Thanks, Matthew. So absolutely, I agree with both Thomas and Matthew. I think the key thing I kind of hope we have in the end of the day is a community, a global community of practitioners who care about the space, that anyone who wants to be part of the space of tech innovation and social environmental change will have, first of all, a stepping stone. So a place where they can get key knowledge. It's such a wide topic in the entire world on all issues that no one organization can hold, or one person or whatever it is can hold all this knowledge. But it would be great to have a place to enter and to join this practitioners. And what I hope we have in the end of the day is a whole list of available free open source guides that anyone can use. It could be frameworks to measure. It could be coursework. If someone is a teacher and is constantly teaching and new young professionals and wants the most updated information, they can download this syllabus and use it. And so basically a place where we as practitioners can share our resources and constantly update them and constantly be able to share, of course, what we're comfortable with. We all have our unique knowledge that we live with, but if it's entrepreneurs or if it's anyone else in the ecosystem, like a shared resource, like we all have our own libraries, etc. And that would act both as a entry point for new practitioners and as a kind of support and facilitation structure for anyone else. And that's what I hope we have. In the end of the day, there are many events and many conferences and many meetups. And so we will continue doing smaller meetups, but ideally I'd hope that other organizations in the world that share our mission will be able to use this platform when they conduct events and meetups, and we can slowly curate the information of that high-level, most experienced practitioners in one place. And so even if Web Summit will have a whole track on the SDGs, hopefully that they can be integrated into this platform, or so different actors, different events. It doesn't have to be all in events and conversations that we initiate and launch. In the end of the day, I hope it'll be a tool for all of you guys to use in your day-to-day activity. So that's, I hope that's clear. More or less. Okay, well, I promised to share the presentation, so I'm sharing it here as a link to the actual PowerPoint, and I know it's kind of theoretical.
I think,
yeah.
I think Abdul has a question or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of hesitating to ask it, but kind of an annoying question. But you know, a lot of people have attempted to kind of create some ecosystem or some place to collect entrepreneurs and have them share and, you know, bring this community together or whatever. And some had some success, some had no success, some had a lot of success in their point of view. My question would be, because maybe I'm, you know, I'm just a little bit low on food or tea today. How, like, what is it that you think that will make you have more success than the attempts at this so far? What is it that you're planning to do differently? And are you looking into somehow bringing this into the mainstream of the world of entrepreneurship or something like this, or not, as part of your strategy? You know, why do you think you'll be successful, other than, you know, believing in your skills, which I commend you, you know? I mean, I see this whole thing having a lot of potential, yeah. But what is it in your head that you think and believe will make you successful in this, more than anyone else that has tried?
Well, first of all, yeah, there's a big chance that, you know, we will fail, like anything else. But here's how I see it, and I feel comfortable in this setting to go a little bit higher and kind of philosophical. The real thing of impact tech, and I feel a lot of us share this, is a connection of two worlds and two languages that typically do not speak. The tech world usually speaks with itself and has a language, has a way to look at things. And I don't know, if you're in the tech world, maybe you don't agree. I can say from the side, like my partner is a tech guy. Like there's
I'm in it and I agree.
Okay. And the impact world, or public sector, or SDGs, or people trying to create change, there's also a language there and a way to do things and a way to approach. And these two worlds do not meet inherently and do not speak inherently. And what we essentially were trying to do is, first of all, collect the people who are bilingual, speak both languages and are comfortable in both languages, to create this shared understanding. And before we start escalating and bringing mainstream entrepreneurs, I think anyone who's already in this space, already made the personal journey to get here, should connect and see what we all agree on and what we want to say to the outside world. And I think that's a little bit what's different about our conversation versus others. A lot of them are facing the stage and trying to convince others to join them, and kind of fight mainstream perception of the impact world, or you're looking outwards. And here is kind of a safe place for people in this space to share, to talk, to really see what works and what doesn't, and to have our shared language and shared tools. And I think the other big thing is that many people look either at entrepreneurs, and this is all they do, just entrepreneurs and founders and startups, or investors or policymakers. And here actually our key focus is the ecosystem. So investors are welcome, researchers are welcome, policymakers are welcome. They are an important part of this conversation. And it's not a conversation just for entrepreneurs, because we all have our perspective, and that ecosystem approach, I hope, will help bring a more holistic, actually effective solutions to the ground. Because a lot of times when it's tech driven only, or what I call tech for tech, it doesn't actually get implemented by people, by the end users, by, let's say, if it's the gov tech. In the end of the day, the policymakers are not using the tools that the entrepreneur has developed because there's no conversation. And I think if we're all sharing the same language, we hope to create that understanding of and kind of more holistic approach. But it's a gamble.
Thank you. Thank you for being open about it.
Sure. And thank you for the question. It's a much longer conversation, of course. And I do think, like, what ideally we'd like to bring in all the different actors into this space. We're not trying to replicate or to replace or compete with anyone who's already doing a specific part of the ecosystem in an amazing way. That's not the purpose. And I know we're coming to an end. And I know this a lot. So again, I'm sending out, I sent out the link to the presentation. You can see it in its kind of raw form, but anyone who signed up to the event will get like the PDF. Do welcome anyone who has thoughts, conversations, concerns, ideas for us to contact us and really be part of this kind of new venture we're setting out to. And thank you so much. Really, I'm really excited you guys are here and to talk about it openly for the first time. Yeah, I appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Leehe.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Well done, Leehe.
Thank you.
I just want to add also one more thing. I started the GITA Germany chapter together with Ben, who had to focus on his startup. And since then, I've been looking for a co-steward for Germany. So if you feel compelled, just reach out. It's always better to not do this alone. And we actually have it written somewhere that we must not do this alone. So if you yourself or somebody else would like to, then join me. I even tried I even tried to get René drunk on a bottle of rum to convince him, but it didn't work. So he's
not enough vodka.
Yeah, maybe we have to do it.
I prefer rum, by the way. I'd love to, but due to my own startup, I cannot continuously do that. But basically, from the heart, I'd love to do this. But
René's actually with the Impact for Breakfast, right?
Yes. Also, yes. But this is just very low end thing. This is like a GITA on Air, for instance, but with different topics. But basically, yes, I love to work with Thomas. You know that I love GITA, and I'm always around presenting input. But I think to do the organization of all this, I need to be, or I would need to let down my Loom Impact company, and that it would be bad because then nobody's building the financial products in the impact industry anymore.
Exactly. That's against what we want to achieve here. So
yeah, Thomas, let him focus. Don't distract him.
We'll let him focus. That's why I said so. René can't do it, so no excuses. You all have to do it. Okay, so with that, thank you, Leehe, for the update. We've been waiting for that a long time, and it's really cool to see where we headed now. I've already